Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our next live stream. I'll be your producer for this session. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you for joining.
Yes, so hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here with you today, and this session is called So You Want to Become a Microsoft MVP. And our goal is to make it feel like really an informal presentation. So we don't want this to be a checklist, but we want the MVP program to feel real, understandable, and approachable. So if you're already active in the community, maybe you are speaking at some events or are writing content, you are helping other people online, or if you are also simply curious about the MVP program, then you are absolutely in the right place. And my name is Alice Piras, and I'm a community manager on the Microsoft MVP program team. I'm based in Hamburg, Germany. And what makes today really special is that we have 4 perspectives here in the room. We'll have 2 current Microsoft MVPs, so 2 current Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals, and 2 MVP alumni, so former MVPs who are now Microsoft employees and who are my colleagues. And you'll hear from them in a second, but today, so we'll keep the overview shorter than in other past events. So I'll share a bit about the MVP program very quickly so that everybody knows what we are talking about, but we want to spend most of our time in conversation with the speakers. So what the program is, what MVPs do, what recognition means to them, and also what practical advice they would give to someone considering this path. Also, as it was mentioned already, feel free to use the chat for questions. We'll try to answer your questions during the presentation. I'll also make sure that we have some time at the end, and if not, we'll follow up with you after this session. But first of all, if you have not already done so, please tell us in the chat where you're joining from. Are you already contributing to community? Have you ever considered becoming an MVP? And here, before I jump into the MVP program, for a quick intro, you see the names of our co-speakers. So we have Reti, who is a current MVP in the Business Applications Award category. Suchita is also current MVP for security and Microsoft Azure. And then my colleague Sorab, who is a former MVP and is working as a senior solution architect at Microsoft, as well as Albert, who was also an MVP in the past, and now he's a senior solution engineer at Microsoft. And I think this mix is what makes today's session especially valuable, because you will hear what the journey looks like while someone is an MVP today, but you will also hear how that experience can evolve when someone later joins Microsoft. And as you will see, we invited people with different technologies, focus, different backgrounds, because you will hear this a lot during this session today. There is no a standard and single way to build an MVP journey, but every MVP journey is unique. So, but now let's dive in quickly. So for anyone newer to the program, let me explain what the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Program is. So the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Award recognizes exceptional technical community leaders who share knowledge, who support other people, and create meaningful impact around Microsoft technologies. Probably this is something you know already, but MVPs do a lot. So they contribute in many different ways. So they organize local events and meetups, even big conferences. They speak at events, they write blogs or books. They are very active online. Also, some of them have, for example, very active YouTube channels, or they contribute to open source. They answer questions online, mentor younger professionals, and help communities grow behind the scenes in many cases. And also, an important thing is that MVPs are not Microsoft employees. I think this has to be very clear. So if an MVP becomes a Microsoft employee, this person cannot keep the MVP award, because MVPs are independent community leaders, and that outside perspective, as I will explain, is super valuable to us. And also, again, there is no single journey, and you will hear from our speakers how their path has been so far. And here another summary. I think that's very this makes it clear, so that MVP impact usually comes back to a few core teams. So we have technical expertise, we have community leadership, we have knowledge sharing, we have consistency, and a willingness to help others grow. And I was mentioning the fact that MVPs are not Microsoft employees, because product feedback plays a huge role, and MVPs bring real world experiences back to Microsoft. So what is working, what is confusing, what could be better. And also, last but not least, community health matters, because we expect MVPs to create welcoming spaces where people feel comfortable learning, asking questions, and participating. So we expect from MVPs that they foster a community where everybody is welcome. And with that short context, I will share at the end of the session some resources and some info about how to apply for the program. I would love to move to the best part of today's session, which is the conversation with our guests. And you see them here live, joining from different parts of the world. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being with us today, everybody. It's great to see you live here. I'd love to have this conversation, so that we can help people understand what MVPs do, who they are, what the MVP journey can look like. And so let's keep it very informal and easygoing. I have a few questions for you, and then we can see how many answers we can cover. We'll try to leave some time at the end for questions from the audience. But first of all, I'd like to ask each of you to introduce yourself. So maybe where you are based, where you're joining from, what you do in your life, maybe hobbies or some private something private about yourself. So I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, seeing that my name starts with an A, I'll start. Albert Hoiting. There's more with an A, of course, but anyway, joining from The Hague here in the Netherlands. I've been an Microsoft MVP for both security and Microsoft 365. So for those in the chat asking how many categories, yeah, you can have multiple categories, but it is hard. I've been an MVP for 7 years. And well, one of the things I like to do is ride a bike, do some modeling and modeling scale models, just to be sure. And I also like Lego, because who doesn't like Lego? So, and with that, I'll hand it over to Areti.
Thank you, Albert. Hi, everybody. My name is Areti Isles. I'm based in the UK. I live just to the left of London, just in a small town city called Reading. I work in the UK with a Microsoft partner, and I work in AI business solutions. I look after project delivery, and I've been an MVP for a year. Soon, hopefully, tomorrow to be two. We're all finding out if we're renewed tomorrow, so we are waiting with bated breath. And yeah, very much involved in the community. I run user groups. I speak as well, and I mentor people as well. So good to meet everybody. I'll pass it on to Susheta.
Thank you so much, Arati. Hey everyone, I am Sucheta Goid. I'm based in the US. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Azure and security with a focus on Microsoft Intune, endpoint management, security, and cloud first workplace technologies. And professionally, I lead endpoint infrastructure and client design in a healthcare environment where I work on securing and managing enterprise devices. And outside of my day job, I'm active in the Microsoft community as a speaker, content creator, mentor, conference organizer, and technical contributor. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go next. Hey everyone, my name is Saurabh Bharti. I'm joining from London, UK. Uh, I've been the former MVP, but I think I could not enjoy that award for a long time. So I joined Microsoft after 4 5 months, and currently I work with Fast Track in Microsoft in the business application. People who works in the ERP, they would know the Fast Track team at Microsoft. Been this space for almost 13 14 years now, starting from consultant to become architect. I also do a lot of community initiatives as a speaker. I have my YouTube channel, Dynamics Class, so I share my knowledge on that. And apart from the work, I love playing cricket. And in UK nowadays, the cricket season is going on, so I'm enjoying that nowadays. And thank you for having me here.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm also seeing here on the chat, we really have people from different parts of the world. I see someone from Nigeria, from the US, a few people, Canada, from Cologne. Okay, that's not far away from where I from Hamburg. So once again, hello everybody, and thank you for joining. So I think we are good with the time. So so my first question is for everyone, and so you all have been very active in the community or still are. Thinking about Areti and Suchita, but yeah, that's a more general question for all of you. So thinking back to the time before you became an MVP, what were you doing in the community? And was there also a moment where you realized that sharing knowledge was worth spending your free time on? So how did you, was there a specific moment where you thought, okay, yeah, now that's the right time, I want to share with people, or yeah, how did that happen? Again, for everyone who wants to jump in. Maybe, yeah, I don't know, yeah.
I can
Shall
go.
I? Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'll go next. Before my cue.
Yeah. So I can share my journey, right? So before even becoming MVP, I was writing blogs for a couple of years, and then I did not go for MVP. And I think that was because we did not had a call like this, right? Because I didn't know like how to ask for the MVP program and other things. But what I was doing typically, like how I started writing a small LinkedIn articles, and I come from the ERP side. So there were in 2020, there were a couple of new features which were coming in. So I was just sharing the list of features with the community, and then also slowly I started logging into the community forum to answer certain questions. And while doing that, and then that was a COVID time, so we had a bit of extra time possibly at home. So a lot of time I saw that the things which I'm sharing with the community is helping them. And they, in the community forum, there is an option where you can mark someone's response as verified answer, and that gives you a kind of a significance or the kind of a sense of achievement that, hey, if I spend 15 minutes, possibly it has solved someone's 4 hours or 5 hours, right, of the work. So you kind of help them in that way. And that's where it clicked me that I should keep doing this, and that's where my journey started. I became very active on community forum, and I made it as a habit to share my articles through the LinkedIn post every week basis. And that's where I think the consistency plays very important role. And I mean that's how like my journey transition to like becoming a community contributor. I still say that. And then MVP is definitely a rewarding part of that journey, basically.
Yeah, that's great, Sarab. So it was basically seeing that you were able to help other people made you like feel, okay, now I can share even more because people find it useful or interesting, and it is helping, which makes sense. How was it for you, Arati? Sorry, I saw you you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me it was a little bit different. The first time I got involved with the community, I was encouraged by my manager, who was an MVP, to submit a session at one of the UK conferences because I was building solutions and I had created a Canvas app that connected to customer voice. And I submitted the session about how that worked and what that did. And I didn't expect it to get in, and it got in, and then I panicked because I was like, oh my God, I've done the public speaking. This is me. Why did this get accepted? And then I thought I have to do it. I can't not do it. And I really, as nerve-wracking as it was, I really enjoyed actually sharing what I had built and then having people come up to me and say, oh, hey, I'm trying to do this and I'm looking to use this. So this is very useful. And the process of creating the session also allowed me to learn a bit more about how things were actually working. And there's nothing like preparing to teach someone something to get you to learn it better, I think. And I really enjoyed that. And really enjoyed the fact that what I knew could help other people and could make their journey easier in using the technology. And then I moved to Reading, where I am now, and there was no user group where I was. And I wanted to meet with other people that were doing the same role as I was doing as a consultant in a Microsoft partner, and exchange feedback, stories, group therapy, share our trauma from project delivery. And I set up the user group because it didn't exist at the time. And then I met people within the UK community that run user groups and did the same kind of role where I was in end users of the technology. And that sharing and that networking was really good too. And I started speaking a little bit more and getting more involved in the UK events. And eventually that led to me after 2 or 3 years of someone saying to me, oh, you should, you do a lot in the community, you should get nominated. And I was like, no, don't be silly. I don't do enough. Other people do a lot more than me. That's ridiculous. And they nominated me, and then I panicked again. And I went through the process of actually submitting and answering the questions and submitting my activities and things like that, which I actually found very hard because it was all about talking about the things that I do and why they're important and what impact they've got. And I just found that process a little bit unfamiliar to myself, and clearly didn't do a very good job of telling the MVP evaluators what good things I was doing, because I didn't actually get accepted the first time. I got rejected, and I took that very I took that too hard. I thought, oh no, what I do isn't as relevant, or it doesn't matter as much. And I thought, well, it's fine. It's not for me. The MVP is not for me. It's fine. I didn't think it was for me anyway. It's all good. And then people kept saying, oh no, you should try again. It's not no forever. It's just no at that moment in time. Just keep doing what you're doing and it will happen for you. And then eventually I decided to try again, and was nominated again, thankfully. And I got into the program, and I was very, very happy that I did. So it was a bit of a process for me. It wasn't exactly smooth. And I went through a process of trying to figure out exactly what parts of the community I enjoyed contributing to as well, because you can contribute in so many different ways. And if you don't do it because you enjoy it, yes, you might become an MVP because of your contributions, but then if you don't keep it going, you'll be an MVP for a very short period of time. So it's really, and it's not worth it if you don't enjoy it. There's no point doing things just for the sake of, getting a glass trophy at the end of it. You should do it because you love it, and that will keep you going, and you'll enjoy meeting all of the other MVP geeks in the program and all of the ways that they contribute to. And it's it's a great community to be part of. So for me, it was a little bit different. I contributed in different ways to SORAB. I had blog posts as well to a certain extent, but the main thing for me was speaking at events and running user groups and doing mentoring, and it's still what I do today.
And that's great, Arete, and thank you for sharing this story, because I think you mentioned two very important points. So that NDPs do a lot, but you don't have to do everything, and this would be impossible. So my recommendation is to focus on what you love and what makes you happy. As you were saying, what feels genuine to you, because if you're trying to do too much, then it's not consistent. You also have job, maybe private life, maybe kids, so family, and so on. So this was an important point, and also that we see this many times, that maybe an application or nomination gets declined the first time because the bar in the MVP program is very high. We also want to keep this bar high, so sometimes it can take a bit to get there, but the application is a good exercise, so that you say, hey, okay, I've done a lot. I wasn't thinking, but it's a lot what I've collected. So my contributions are really a lot. And then if it doesn't work the first time, then you can simply wait a couple of months and then reapply, because we welcome every month new MVP. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the journey. So thank you for highlighting this. How was it for you, Albert, when you joined the program some years back?
Yeah, well, funny story. I got the confirmation email because nowadays it's at the 15th, so I'm really rooting for all MVPs right now. But years ago it was on the 1st of the new month, so I got my confirmation email on the 1st of April. So that I really had to check double, especially with the people who nominated me, because they were like pranksters. So, but in the end, it panned out. But I totally agree with what you're saying as well. It's about that passion of sharing your knowledge, sharing what you know. It can be anything, a solution you build, or a specific a problem you solve, because the Microsoft software might not be might still not have that functionality built in, so you created something, or anything counts. But I think the passion for that for that knowledge sharing, that was for me was the most important part of it. And yeah, what happened afterwards? I think one of the things I noticed was that all the people I looked up to when I went into the program, I was part of that program, and that was kind of weird, because, like I said, I was looking up to those people. I had like a bit of imposter syndrome now and then, like, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy. But in the end, if you are nominated, then you are already worth it. And if you get the award, then you're definitely worth it. So for everyone who's doubting themselves, or just take the things you're passionate about, start talking. And I see a couple of questions. Okay, where do I find sessions? Well, you can go to Sessionize, for example. There's other locations on the socials as well where you can find people asking speakers, user groups. I started out basically internally within an organization, and then I went to user groups locally. Then those locally went in the Netherlands, and then I can still remember that was, I think, a year before I got the MVP award. That was my first international user group, which was in London. Yeah, it's kind of like a snowball effect, and when you get that momentum, you take it, take that passion. But I totally agree with you as well, Alice. Do keep a close eye on your work and private life balance, of course, because we don't want people burned out because they want to become an MVP. Of course, that's not really how it should work. So that's basically, in a nutshell, how it works for me.
That's great, Albert. Thank you. Also, thank you so much for sharing. I'm also seeing the questions in the chat. We have many questions, so we'll make time to go through them. I'm posting the link to the MVP community side, because there we also have back to you were answering the questions regarding where to find events. MVPs post there the events and the meetups they are organizing, so you can have a look if there's an event in your region, in your city, or not far away from you, and you can submit you can ask to be a speaker at that event, because meetup organizers, conference organizers are always looking for speakers, especially new speakers. So maybe just have a look or pick up like a little meetup where you can test it and see if this is something for you, so that you grow a bit your confidence, and then you can take it from there. I'm going to post the link immediately here in the chat. Suchit, I also want to hear from you how it was for you at the beginning and when you joined the program.
Absolutely. So before becoming an MVP, my community journey started with the work that I was already doing in my day job, solving complex technical problems around endpoint management, Intune, security, and Azure. And like many other IT pros, I often relied on Microsoft documentation and practical guidance that other MVPs in the community provided, or other community contributors provided. And that helped me see the value of real world knowledge sharing. And that motivated me to give back in the same way. And then I started sharing my lessons learned from my own experiences. I started speaking, I started writing blogs, and also mentoring. And the moment I realized that it was worth my time, that was when I saw, just like Saurabh was mentioning earlier, that my contributions are helping someone. But at the same time, I would like to add that I was also delighted with the fact that it made me better, preparing content, answering questions, and hearing different perspectives. That pushed me to learn deeper and keep improving. So I think those were my motivating factors.
That's great, Suchita. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I was trying, so it seems I can't post here the links on the chat, but I'll double check. Sorry for that. Let's move to my second question. And this is more for you, Areti and Suchita. And we've mentioned these already, so that sometimes maybe people feel okay, they are not ready enough to apply, or they are not ready to become an MVP. And already you mentioned this. I think it was very, very sweet that you were saying. So I had some doubts and I wasn't sure I'm there already. So I'm ready to go. Did it happen also to you, Suchita? And how did you? So I understand already. You give it a try. So you said, okay, I'll try. Let's see what happens. And again, did it happen to both of you? And what did you do? Maybe there was someone who helped you, or your manager, Areti, I think was great that he told you, hey, give it a try. You are good. I mean, what would you say to people who maybe are in the same situation? They think, hey, I'd love to apply, but I don't know if I'm good enough. Maybe a piece of advice from your side.
Yeah, I would say, so my manager was a she, actually. So she was an MVP at the time, but she wasn't the one that nominated me because I got nominated by someone else. We weren't working together anymore by that point. But I think even on the second time when I applied, I was sure I was going to get rejected because I thought, well, I got rejected a few months ago. Why would they say yes now? And then they said yes, and I was like, oh my God. And actually, one of the reasons why I applied the second time was because they wouldn't leave me alone. They were like, no, you have to submit for MVP. You do so much. And I was like, if I apply again, will you just stop chasing me about it? They were like, yes. And I was like, fine. And then I got in, and then the job was on me. But it was one of those things where it's not necessarily that what you are working on changes. It's more the fact that you need to be able to explain what difference what you're doing is making and what impact it's having. And if you're not used to doing that, that can be a little bit difficult. So I think for me, I'm glad that I got to submit my application twice, because the first time I got to understand what questions were being asked, how the process works, what activities are accepted, what information do I need to give for each activity. And it gets you thinking in a different way in terms of quantifying the impact of what you do. It wasn't really something I did before I started going through the process. I didn't really write down all of the ways in which I was contributing to the community. And I know a lot of MVPs have, either a spreadsheet or a list or a, we all write down all of the things that we do, because then when it's renewal time and we have to submit all of our activities for the last 12 months, we can forget the things that we've done. And it's a different way of thinking about what you do. Having to prove all of the ways in which you have added value is a bit of an interesting change in thinking. It was for me, at least anyway, but it does nicely translate across life in general. I think, particularly in your professional life, it does help if you've got a bit of a list of all of the ways in which you're contributing, so that when you're doing your annual review, or if you're going for a promotion, you can actually say, hey, these are all of the ways in which I have added value. So for me, that was quite a different way of thinking that I wasn't used to. But I'm grateful that I got to do it the first time, because it made me realize exactly how I need to explain what I do in the community to show why Microsoft would benefit from having me as an MVP in the business applications category, and why the product group would benefit from having me in their category and giving feedback on the products. Because fundamentally, that is really the question: is what are you going to do if you become an MVP? How are you going to help the community grow? How are you going to share your knowledge to get people to use the technology better or easier? So that's the kind of questions that you need to be able to answer. And sometimes that, at least for me, that didn't come naturally. But yeah, it's a good experience to have, to know what is going to be asked of you.
Yeah, and then to add to that, just I made the remark earlier as well. For those thinking you've got multiple categories, I want to become an MVP in multiple categories. It is a lot of work, because all those contributions and your effort you're putting into the community. If you have like two categories, then you do have to do both the work. So if you are considering this, focus on a specific category where you're very passionate about, where you do have a lot of impact on the community.
Yeah, great point, Albert. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And this goes back to the question, okay, how many award categories can you have as an MVP? So we have some MVPs with 2, like Suchita, but most of the MVPs have 1. And I would also suggest, when you apply, focus on a single one, on a specific technology focus, and then try to collect and to increase the impact in this specific area. Suchita, back to you, were you also thinking at the beginning maybe you are not contributing enough to become an MVP, or was it for you, oh yeah, I'm ready, I'm applying?
Yeah. And before I answer your question, I would like to just add to what Albert was saying about dual categories. Being a dual category MVP myself, I do feel it's a stretch to focus on both the technology areas or award categories. So I would think, if for beginning, for people who are just starting on their MVP journey, it is definitely advisable to go with like one category where you're really technically an expert and you can share your knowledge. But yes, going back to Alicia's question. So yes, I do think that most honest community contributors feel at some point that their contributions may not be enough. And I felt the same, because in technology, there is always going to be someone who has deeper experience in a specific area, or has implemented something more than you, or more times than you have, or someone who has worked hands on with a scenario that you are still learning. And that can make you question whether you're an expert enough to share, or whether your contributions will be enough and recognized. But I think over time, what I realized is that community contribution is not about knowing everything. It is
Mhm.
about sharing what you have learned in a way that helps someone else move forward or take the next step. Sometimes your value is that you can explain something clearly, or you can connect something to real world scenarios, or make it approachable for someone who has, who has not done it, or who is a few steps behind you. I think you should leverage that aspect and then contribute in whatever way you can.
Thanks, Suchita. Yeah, I love that. And I'm so conscious of the time. I definitely would love to get your answers on a question I have, because I think that's can be very, very interesting for the audience. And then I'll cover some of the questions in the chat. So if someone wants to become an MVP or a stronger community leader, community contributor over, let's say, the next 30 days, what they should do, in your opinion. So, Rob, maybe you can start. You have been an MVP for just 5 months, and then you joined Microsoft. Do you have a piece of advice for someone who'd like to start?
Yeah, I think I get this question quite often, right? I mean, after even joining Microsoft, I mean, my simple suggestion would be, right, like, I want to just like what Ariti was saying, right? I mean, you should think of why you want to become MVP. I think that's the first question. If you just want to become MVP because everyone around is looking fancy with the MVP title or something, you are looking out of some benefits or something, I think you won't be able to survive that title, because until unless you have a motivation of like just helping people, right, without thinking that what you will get back, I think you won't be able to survive that title at all. And maybe you get 1 year, but next year you won't, right? And to
Mhm.
do so, the only thing which I would do, right, take out 30 minutes every day, go to the Dynamics community forum, whichever area is, let's say, is your expertise, ERP or Power Platform, anything. Start answering the problems or the questions which you have there. Now the catch is, like, you might think that, hey, I don't know the answer of the question which is mapped. That's perfectly fine, and that's what Suchita was saying. You need to put your perspective, right? Your perspective can possibly redirect them towards a solution. Maybe you are not giving a solution, but the perspective can redirect someone, right? So I would definitely say that if you want to test that, do you really have a motivation? 30 days, 30 minutes every day, if you can continuously log into community forum and try to answer 5 questions on the forum, I think that's a very good start, and that will give you a very good hint that whether you would like to become MVP in the future or not, right? And the second thing which I would do, at least once in a week, share your perspective in your technology area over LinkedIn article, maybe a 2 paragraphs, but that should be your view on that feature, capability, any new developments which are happening there. So I think if you do these 2 things, next 30 days will give you really good sense, and also your network will recognize you that, hey,
Yep.
this person is contributing. And people asking how do we reach out for the nomination, trust me, if you do this for 6 months, people will jump on you and ask you, that the former MVPs or MVPs, that, hey, would you like to be MVP, because we have seen you contributing to the community a lot, right? So it will come your way itself. You would not chase it. The MVP program will chase you if you do all these things for the community.
Thank you, Saurabh. And there's also a question about the community you were mentioning. So if you can then post the link here in the chat.
Yeah,
So
it's simple. If you just search Microsoft Dynamics Community Forum, I think the URL is community.dynamics.com,
great.
and that's where you have and it's a Microsoft managed portal where you get, and it's a very good resource as well for your learning. It has a lot of tech talks across different technology platforms. Specifically, I know from the business application side, from Microsoft and other MVPs, all user groups are in place. So it's a central resource for you to navigate different direction, even for learning, contributing, everything.
That's great. Thank you, Saurabh. And I'm also seeing starting a YouTube channel. Yeah, that's great. That's a great way of starting. We also have many MVPs who love YouTube and they have big YouTube channels. So that's another great suggestion. Maybe I don't know, another I just would like to maybe share another piece of advice, and then we'll cover some of the questions. I think Albert, you wanted to jump in.
No. Well, jump in. I do agree with everything that's been said. I think speaking from my own experience, and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm repeating myself, but when I was first nominated, I got contacted by one of your colleagues, Alice, about the nomination. And basically what was said was, we love all the things you do, but you are too broad. So focus on a specific area, but otherwise you won't be able to manage it all. But also the nomination probably won't proceed because you're doing little pieces of a lot of things. So in my case, that made me wonder, okay, where do I need to focus on? And in my case, I focused on a specific subject which was just coming up. It was about information security, and that gave me the opportunity to really focus and put my passion into that subject. And in the end, it still took like I think at least a year before I got that email. But that really, for me, allowed me to focus, see what I could do in that kind of experiences, and that helped me a lot. So again, focus on the things you're really, really good at. Also, just to add on that, we're talking about categories, etc. But don't be mistaken that there's categories and there's subcategories as well. So if you are already orienting yourself or looking at those categories, look at those subcategories as well, because there's a lot of parts where you might fit in. So and and keep contributing. I mean that's the like what was said. That's really the roads to become an MVP at the end. Keep on contributing.
That's great. Thank you, Albert. And to cover some of the questions I'm seeing here in the chat. So there was a question regarding how to get nominated, and if you click on the website that the reactor posted here on the chat, you'll find a lot of information. We have FAQs. So please have a look at the website. But you need to be nominated by a current MVP or a Microsoft employees. And on the website, you can search for for the MVPs in your region, in your country, speaking your language, focusing on the same technology area, and you can reach out to them. There's also their LinkedIn profile, so you can get in touch with them and then ask them if they'd be willing to nominate you. So MVPs are always happy to support the MVP program with inviting new people. So please do this on the website. And so when someone nominates you, then you receive an email emails, and you are asked to let us know what you have done the past 12 months. So you need to collect all your community contributions, and this is what Areti was mentioning at the beginning, and then we need up to 90 days to review your application, because multiple teams at Microsoft very carefully review your contributions. But if you are not, if your application is declined, don't be too sad, because you can reapply after a couple of months, and you don't need to wait a year. So this was another question: if you can submit once a year. No, this is not. Just wait a couple of months and then reapply, because we welcome MVPs every month, new MVPs every month. So you don't need to wait one year. Please also have a look at meetups, events happening in your region, so you can ask to be a speaker, and then you can start from there. If you are an MCT, you can also apply for the MVP program. Your contributions need to be community contributions. So if you are doing this for a job, or if you get money, then this is not pure community contribution. So that's also an important point. And which platforms? Of course, so MVPs should focus on Microsoft technologies, but we welcome people who also work with other platforms, because of course we want to hear from you how to improve, what we can change. So you don't need to be only an expert in Microsoft technology. This is a prerequisite, yes, but if you are also working with other tools, other technologies, that's absolutely fine, and that's great. And so we are running out of time. So please reach out to us. I'm posting here again our LinkedIn profiles. Reach out if you have questions. If you haven't covered everything, I'll go through the questions and we'll answer after the event. Please also feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, and and thank you. Thank you. We have to running a bit fast. I thought we had much time, but we'll organize another session. Thank you to our speakers for joining us today. It was great to have you here sharing your perspectives, and thank you everybody for joining us today. Have a great day, have a great evening, have a great morning, and I hope to see you back at the next live event. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find our survey link on the screen or in the chat, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find our survey